Welcome to another episode of King's World. Okay, so last week we had the Master Blaster, a good friend of mine. He's a true OG of bodybuilding, Mr. Ameen Alai, the mad scientist. And we had some fun and we answered some questions in here and there, but I wanted to delve deep into this man's evil brain. He's got the secrets and he's got, he's the emperor, man. He's from the dark side of the force. So let's go down to that side. We saw the light. Now let's go to the dark. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, Ameen Alai.
Thanks for having me again. Great to be back.
All right, so, I gave him a little preface, Ameen. I told him we're going to go delve into the dark side. So let's get deep into this and let's not beat around the bush and let's go straight to the point. So, Ameen, question number one. What's the difference between the drugs of the 90s and the early 2000s to the drugs of today?
The main difference is that people were not importing raws from China, which means you have to do, basically the raw has to be the same degree of purity, and the raw is never going to be the degree of purity as the pharmaceutical companies. It's just never going to be 99.9% pure. You're going to get maybe 98%, and that makes a difference because you're going to need a higher milligram dose to get the same result, and you only have so many receptors. Your receptors get clogged. It doesn't quite work out as well.
Again, folks, this is why I have him here, because he's not going to I don't that's exactly why. You're dealing with Chinese when we were dealing with pharmaceutical grade, human grade back in the day. There it is. Sub question to question number one. Why can't the pros get hard anymore? Why can't they get dry?
I think that it's okay. I think what happened was you were one of the lucky people, I say, that got in crazy hard condition. And so now you think of it as if, why can't they? But you don't maybe remember that I was your secret weapon and other coaches that were also helping you were your secret weapon and looking like that. Some of these guys today and their coaches don't really know how to use the diuretics and do the mineral manipulation. Some of them don't believe in carb depletion. They don't think it even works. So you have a whole different set of philosophy that goes into it, just kind of keep everything look good a month out for Instagram or whatever. And then you're getting down just a half a diazide the night before the show. And that's supposed to make you look your all-time best. It may, but there are things to do like Hell Week, which I invented, that can actually push you beyond what you normally could be, but just for a small window. And so I don't think that today's bodybuilders are really looking to sacrifice themselves. I mean, when you go through a depletion, you have to look worse in order to look better. People don't want to look worse because they're constantly taking their pictures to their followers and so forth. If they look worse, their followers are going to say, oh, you're not doing good, when in fact that may be part of the plan. So now the plan has changed and it made it so you want to just kind of look good all the time, and I think that's the big difference.
How many times have I said that? How many times have I been preaching that? How many times have I gone on the internet and made posts about this? That you have to look like 3 days before the show if you want to look like $1 million at the show. You're right. And once again, it goes back to what I said last week. It's the internet, it's social media that's f***ing everything up. Let's go on to the third part of that. Why does the quality go down when the size goes up? Perfect example, Rolly Winkler. Rolly at the New York Pro, I thought, wow, amazing, everything. And the bigger he's getting, the less quality. Why?
Okay. I'm not going to speak on behalf of Rolly because I don't know him, but I'm going to just say in general, when you do certain drugs, you obtain a certain look, okay?
Correct.
The multiple drugs you do, the more that look starts to metamorphosize into something different. Now, with steroids, you're building more muscle, but you're not creating more cells. With growth hormone and insulin, more cells are actually splitting and dividing. Those more cells then fill with plasma. And so unless you stop using the drugs and get hard, you're going to have a look of a filled, like a plasma-filled look versus a very dry and grainy look.
Listen to what he said, folks. A plasma-filled look compared to a crispy, dry look. 90s, early 2000s versus today. This is the difference coming from a guy who knows.
People didn't used to take growth hormone all the way up to the show.
Correct.
Now people are taking growth hormone in high doses up
On
to
the
the show.
day of the show.
The day of the show.
The day of the show.
Yeah.
There you go.
With lots of insulin and androgens too. It doesn't make sense.
Right. Okay. That was the first question. Let's go to number 2. This is a subject that I actually, Ameen, had a show on a couple weeks ago, and afterwards, people went ape shit and started contacting me saying, that's not even a SARM, and it is a SARMs. Talk to me about SARMs.
Okay, SARMs are basically, they were engineered as a way to be safer versions of basically accomplishing the same thing that steroids do. On paper, they look amazing. And the studies on paper look amazing. But again, what you're getting is Chinese knockoff. You're not getting the real 99.9% pure SARM.
Good old Chinese knockoffs. Go ahead.
It's what it is. So you're not going to get the results that you get. 10 milligrams won't be 10 milligrams of something pure. It's going to be, 80%. It's not going to be as good. So then you're taking more again, and the look doesn't quite look the same. The look of the body always looks the best on the lowest dosage of anything, because that provides the least side effects and least inflammation. And that's what you want to avoid. That's why from the past, people would get off drugs closer to shows. Now, again, with SARMs, LGD has been shown to be good for putting on size. Okay, I've noticed this myself too, but again, it seemed like a watery size, but not different from D-ball. It was similar. You just have to take the right dose and have to get the right purity. Ostarine was one I found worked great, and also I know women. I'm not recommending women do it, but I know women that have done it, and they told me they had great results without virilization, which means their voice didn't get deeper. Okay.
And this is something, I talked about. I said Ostarine is exactly what you just said. I recommend it to my female clients, my bikini girls, and they respond like this. It's amazing how fast they respond to Ostarine.
Of course, it depends on the source. That's
Correct.
One thing. And then, if you really want to get into like the pituitary type, you have the secretagogues too. They also work, but you want to use those more like a couple times a week. You can't get in the habit of using any of this stuff every day. The minute you start using any substance more than 3 days in a row, you're going to develop a slight tolerance. At that point, if the effective dose is beyond the dose that's actually going to be beneficial for you, then you're going to get into some toxic range, or you're not going to look the way you want to. So always be aware, instead of increasing the dose, sometimes take a day or two off and then go back to the correct dose.
There it is. Okay. SARMs. Peptides. Number 3. Tell me something about peptides. The only peptide that we had was insulin. All right. And now there's all these different types and all this. Tell me a little bit about the peptides.
Look, the peptides are different fragments of what growth hormone does.
Correct.
Growth hormone is the 191 amino acid sequence. Okay.
It's the godfather.
Right, the godfather. This is one from the pituitary gland. None of the peptides are identical from what the pituitary are. Some of them, they're I'm not going to mention the names because there's so many different of them, but some of them may make your pituitary secrete more growth hormone, okay? But I'm telling you, the look doesn't look the same. There's always some water retention that goes along with it.
Yes.
And that's not from the natural secretion of the growth hormone. That's from the drug itself. So the drug itself makes you retain some kind of water. People do use these every day. They become very lethargic. So you have to be careful with the peptides. In my personal opinion, there's just not enough research done to use them long term. There are a couple of peptides. Again, I'm not going to glorify any names. There's 2 that I know of that are really good post-surgery. I've used post-surgery after a hernia surgery and had tremendous results, but I also use it in combination with a very, very low dose of growth hormone to get the synergistic effect. I don't think that you get the best effect by isolating one of the many different ways growth hormone works, unless you just, add to it. It's like taking branch chains alone. It's not effective, but if you add branch chains to freeform, it's effective. So if you take peptides with growth hormone, it works. You don't need a lot of growth. You don't need a lot of peptides. You can get more of a direct effect. But if you do them by themselves, growth hormone only, not peptides only.
There you go. I can't say it better myself. It's fragments of GH. GH is sitting on a mountain by itself. Ameen, last question before we move on to the questions that I get from the fans and from the people that are on social media. Last question is, this is actually a pretty cool one. I want to hear it myself. Give me an off-season cycle.
I'm just going to tell you my favorite off-season cycle.
Yeah. Now, do me a favor. Don't give me doses. I don't want to
Not
get
gonna give
doses
you
because I don't want to hear any from anybody.
Okay.
Just
But
give me an off-season
I'm gonna
cycle.
say I'm gonna say what the drugs were, and I'm gonna be specific about it. Okay.
Okay.
It was steroids, testosterone, and anthate. Okay. So number one, that was legit.
Okay.
It was Syntex Anadrol. Number two, that was
Ah, the
legit.
brown and orange bottle.
Brown and orange bottle. There's
I
nothing.
remember that bottle like it was
2902.
yesterday.
Never had anything like it again.
Yes.
And the third one was the Real Veterinarian Equipoise by Solvay. And that was with the red cap, and it was also real. All three drugs were real, and it was the most actual size I ever gained, and I don't believe that I ever lost it. Because a lot of people see me now, you see I'm small, but Kamali knows when I was really small. And there was a point before even I was lifting where I was the most genetically disadvantaged person. And then I came to being a teenage bodybuilder. So, there's a big difference in taking real pharmaceuticals and what they do. This is not the UGL stuff again, but Equipoise, Anadrol, and Testanante. That's the best off-season cycle, I think.
And folks, the Syntex Anadrol that he's talking about, that was my very first cycle, which was my freshman year in college, and I gained, and I'm not exaggerating, 62 pounds from only 30 tabs.
30
Let me
tabs.
repeat that. All I took was 1 tab a day, 50 milligrams a day of Syntex Anadrol, and I gained 62 pounds.
Well, from somebody on the outside looking in on what you did, because I was seeing you at the gym, okay? I was seeing you at the gym. What I noticed was your strength would go up tremendously. I mean, your strength went up like 100 pounds on every lift in a month. And everybody was like, wow, he was just doing 315. Now he's doing 405 on the bench. This is insane. So, I mean, it definitely is.
So now, hold on. I got to stop you here. For the love of God, explain to everyone what's on your shirt right now and how significant that is.
This right here is the Finiplex H cartridge. And some of you who remember us,
I remember.
Going nuclear, okay? These came in 100 pellets, 10 pellets in a row in a cartridge, and they were for feedlot heifers. You pop the top off them, they had a special thing, and punched it behind the cattle's ear.
Right behind the
ears.
ears.
The cattle grow.
Yeah.
Okay? They don't make this anymore. They make it with estradiol in it. But this is the real trenbolone acetate, and this version, if you knew how to strip it off of the pellet version, you had the best trenbolone on earth. Still,
folks,
to this day,
I used to go to Ameen's apartment. He would be sitting with a pound of dip in his mouth, watching TV with a mortar and pestle, like a fucking alchemist, sitting there like this. Yeah, it's almost done. And then he would dilute it with acetone and some other stuff, which I'm not going to get into. Get the thing, and he would load it up with a B12 in a syringe with a 18 gauge. And the jam, oh God, I'm not even going to say it. It was just this guy right here, man, and the that we did. I'm telling you, I'm writing a book. That was it for the dark side. Now, like we always do, we're going to answer 3 questions from the fans, okay? And question number 1 comes from David G. David G says, why can't Phil Heath come in 100% even once in a while? Why is it once in every few years? Why? I mean, why? Why can't this guy hit it? He's got the best genetics ever. Why?
And I want to say this clearly, by no means is this anything negative to anybody. But I think the person who needs to answer that question would be Hani Rambod. Because Hani Rambod is the one who was with him closest to the show. That does not mean that it's Hani's fault that he's not coming in shape by any means at all. But he would know more. Maybe Phil Heath, sometimes psychologically, you just for a second, if you get the stage jitters, the butterflies in your stomach, people don't realize it. But when you're in awesome condition, that can make you smooth out for about 15 minutes until you can get it together. And if you're nervous and you're up on stage, that could be the difference between, 2 or 3% edge that might make you win. So that may be one of the factors, but really what we have to do is look more at who's helping the people, because they're the ones who are telling them to get in this condition. It's really on him.
Okay, so you're putting it on Hani's shoulders.
I could put something on stage that I don't think the world's ever seen before, but that would be if he's willing to do the work.
Okay,
He would have
I'm going to
really
agree with you 100%. I think it's 100% on Hani too. If you're going to take control as his coach, you have to be 100% responsible for what you present on stage. So we agree on that. Next question. Brit78 asks, what's the safest drug for girls? And I guess she probably means, I guess, to stay sexy and stay feminine and, you know, to have that hard look without looking masculine. So, I mean, girls, safest drug.
You know, we might get a lot of slack for this, but evidence has shown, at least recently, Ostrine may be the most effective and safest
I've been
drug for women.
saying to you people for the past few weeks, Ostrine, you guys don't want to listen.
I don't promote SARMs. I don't care. Well, I don't promote Finaplex, although I did make a hell of a complaint. That's not what this is. This is for fun, okay? That's not what this is about. But in all honesty, okay, after that, the very best thing before SARMs came along would have been primo acetate tablets in a low dosage. And Sharing did make them in a 5 milligram dosage. They were available in Mexico in 5 milligrams. They were real years ago in the 90s, again, when a lot of the real good pharmaceuticals were out there before they discontinued them. And women could take, you know, just 2 or 3 of those a day and they would look great. Now, the primo acetate tabs, if you could even get them, they're 25 milligrams, which means a woman would be able to take only half, and they just don't think like that. And so then they might get virilization from it, and it may not be as good.
Primo acetate tabs, Ostrine is something that we both agree on. And of course, number 3 on the list would be Anavar, which almost every freaking girl I know takes, even girls who don't compete, who just want to look good for the clubs. They take Anavar.
Contrary, really quick, contrary to what popular belief, because I know a lot of people are going to say clenbuterol, okay? And I actually think, and I'm going to catch slack for it, I don't really care. I think clenbuterol has a stronger androgenic effect on a woman than Ostrine in the correct dose. When you have to take clenbuterol, it binds to beta-3 androgen receptors. So if a woman tries to keep taking more and more and more as she gets closer to a show and start increasing it, you'll notice her voice will get deeper just from clenbuterol. I've had natural women take clenbuterol and seen this happen. Now, the same on the flip side with Ostrine, if the dosage stays low and you don't increase it, I didn't notice that.
Boom. You heard it from the master, and I agree with him, by the way. Okay, final question comes from Muhammad2222. Muhammad says, or asks, well, this is very typical of what a Muhammad would ask. He asks, how do I stay on my diet and program during Ramadan? So, Ameen, Ramadan, religious, what? Talk to me.
So, you know, basically what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to flip your schedule. It doesn't say, and if I stand corrected, I stand corrected. But as far as I know, there's no rules about sleeping or napping during the sun up time. Okay, so you need to make that your nighttime and need to make your nighttime your daytime so you can eat and then have enough time to recuperate. You cannot break the fast, or there's no point in even doing it during Ramadan. Then why would you even? Why are you doing Ramadan? So if you're going to do Ramadan, you're going to have to, and one, also don't go to failure so much during Ramadan. Try to maintain your gains instead of trying to get better gains. You're also technically not supposed to be taking drugs during Ramadan. So you may want to use that time to actually be clean and actually just psychologically accept the fact that you're going to lose some size, but realize that once you come back after Ramadan and you start back up, you'll bounce right back.
What I tell all my friends and fans and anybody that contact me all the time, same exact thing. Use that time during Ramadan for detox and become normal again. You don't have to be a juice monkey all the time. You can become normal. All right, so there it is again, part 2. Thanks again for watching King's World. Remember, I said it once and I'll say it again. This is all my opinions. This is what I think, and this is what my friends and whoever I bring on thinks. And thank you again for Generation Iron for letting me come here and do my thing. I want to thank Ameen Alai. He is the master. You can contact Ameen. We'll put all his information down for contest prep, questions. He's got his own company that he's dealing with right now. He's just like me with King Buddha. He's got his own hemp empire that he's building over there in Denver. We love you guys. Once again, bring those questions. And as always, peace, bitches.